India was looking out, actually going beyond the land boundaries. We were exploring the oceans around. In 1983, I think, when Mrs. Gandhi was the Prime Minister, she actually supported Indian expedition to the Antarctic. Among the people who went there were people who later on formed the Society for Indian Ocean.
This is Professor Krishnendra Meena. I am the Secretary General of the Society for Indian Ocean Studies and a professor at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Good morning, all of you. Warm welcome to the podcast series of Society for Indian Ocean Studies, the SIOS Waves. And in the first episode, we are introducing the society itself. And we have our chairman, Ambassador Sudhir Devare, to introduce the society. But before we begin, we'll have a brief introduction about Ambassador Devare. Ambassador Devare is a former member of the Indian Foreign Service and worked in the Indian missions in Moscow, Washington, Gangtok, Frankfurt, Geneva, and Yangon. He was also an ambassador to South Korea. He has served as the first Indian ambassador to Ukraine, Armenia, and Georgia. And he was later ambassador to Indonesia. Ambassador Devare also served as a Director General of Indian Council of World Affairs, Sapru House, the oldest think tank in India, from 2009 to 12. Shri Devare is presently Chairman of Research Advisory Council of Research and Information Systems for Developing Societies, RIS, New Delhi. And Ambassador Devare is author of many a book, edited 4 volumes. More recently, his memoir, Through a Diplomat's Lens, came out and has earned rave reviews. And interestingly, the memoir details his experiences during very important events in global history during the 20th century, including removal of dictatorships in South Korea and Indonesia and fall of Berlin Wall. The book also discusses the admission of Sikkim into the Indian Union in 1975. So Ambassador Devare and I will discuss about the society. We will introduce the society. Sir, to begin with, can you take us briefly into the history of the Society for Indian Ocean Studies, and please explain to us the formative years and the eminent individuals who played a substantial role in establishing this institution.
Thank you, Dr. Meena. It's a great pleasure to be on the podcast, the first podcast of the Society for Indian Ocean Studies. I think we are going technical, it looks like, because, we never had this kind of arrangement before. So I'm particularly pleased that we are having this podcast, through which I think we will be able to communicate to the outside world what this organization has been engaged in. Society for Indian Ocean Studies, SIOS, is a fairly well-established institution. It was started in 1987. You can imagine now it's almost 40 years now. And it was at a time when India was looking out, actually going beyond the land boundaries. We were exploring the oceans around. In 1983, I think, when Mrs. Gandhi was the Prime Minister, she actually supported Indian expedition to the Antarctic. Now, you can imagine now, even that time, India had that kind of vision of having our presence on the Antarctic continent. And among the people who went there were people who later on formed the Society for Indian Ocean Studies. There was a scientist, Dr. Qasim, who was the leader of this expedition. He later on became the secretary of the Department of Ocean Development, a ministry which was set up to promote India's interest in the Indian Ocean. And in 87, people like Dr. Nurul Hassan, who was a leading educationist that time, he also became governor of the state of West Bengal. You have Ambassador Natwar Singh, one of the senior most ambassadors who later on also became Foreign Minister of India. There was Admiral M.K. Roy, who was one of the stalwarts of the Indian Navy. And man like P.N. Huxer, who was Mrs. Gandhi's principal secretary. during the Bangladesh war and all those years. So I think he had by that time retired, but he also joined to set up this society. So you had, and there was Professor Satish Chandra, who was the leading light of this. He was a very well known professor from Aligarh University, a very distinguished professor of history, and he was later on also chairman of the UGC. So, a man with very high academic credentials, Dr. Satish Chandra, he was right from the beginning, the first, I think, MOU which has been signed by some of these people, which included Professor Chandra, till he died, I think, in
17.
2019 or 80 or 19. All these years, nearly 30 years, he was associated with the society. He was the founder of the society. So these were some of the people. Later on, we had also additional hands like Dr. Sehgal, who was also senior man from the United Nations. And I think we just saw
Secretary, Department of Ocean Development.
First secretary of the Department of Ocean Development. I think even before Dr. Qasim became president.
Yes.
So these were all dedicated people, experienced people who were great interests. I recall Foreign Secretary Mr. S.K. Singh, who when he retired took keen interest. In fact, at his suggestion, I became a member sometime, I think, in around 2010 or so, I think,
Yes.
that time. So these were people. There was a man called Admiral Sharma. I remember he was a great scholar and expert on the UNCLOS and all the legal matters relating to the oceans. He was an authority. He was consulted by the United Nations also on these matters. So we had, I think, a number of dedicated experts, scholars, administrators who thought that India had for a long time looked at its borders and its economy only in terms of continental land boundaries. We have never looked at oceans. And perhaps I think it is a kind of a drawback. Delhi is so far away from the oceans. Our view has always been, and Indian historically also, for several centuries, we had looked to northwest, and after independence again towards China and Pakistan, which have land boundaries and not ocean boundaries. So I think it was high time that we started looking at the oceans, the maritime dimension of India's history, India's economy, and India's future. So with these ideas, this society was set up, and these were the major contributions of the people I'm just now mentioned.
Oh, thank you, sir, for this great introduction about the individuals and people, the great people who shaped the society. Sir, what were the focus areas to begin with when the society was established? And if you can explain if there has been a kind of evolution in the focus areas of the society during its years, during its 40 years, 40 odd years.
Well, as I said, since we had leading oceanographers as founders of this society, like Dr. Qasim and Mr. Sehgal, and some of these visionaries like P.N. Huxer, and they, they thought of both ocean as a resource and ocean as a frontier.
Yes, sir.
And ocean as a resource, you had to look into both the living resources as well as the non-living resources. The UNCLOS was negotiated and agreed upon in 1982.
Yes,
So, what were the implications of UNCLOS? Also, they started looking at the littoral countries. I saw in the earlier programs, earlier years, they used to look at Africa. Africa is a major littoral country on the Indian Ocean. Southeast Asia, keen interest was taken. Southeast Asian countries and India share a great deal in terms of culture and civilization contacts.
Yes.
So those were highlighted. We also started, I think, later on, some years later, when Indo-Pacific concept
Yes, sir.
became acceptable and prevalent. This SIOS also started holding discussions and seminars about Indo-Pacific.
Yes.
So these were some of the topics, both, as I said, in terms of the uh, resources, the physical aspects of the Indian Ocean per se, and the culture, politics, economy of the countries around the Indian Ocean.
Yes,
I
sir.
think these were the two main themes which were pursued in the earlier years.
Yes, sir. Sir, what are the programs the society organizes to spread awareness about the Indian Ocean and perhaps the strategic scenario in the region?
Well, you see, in recent years, we are looking at the strategic scenario as well as the new aspects which have been really coming up now. The strategic scenario has really acquired very serious dimension, especially as we know, as our eastern neighbor has moved very aggressively in the Indian Ocean region, having set up so-called uh, string of pearls and so on.
Yes, sir.
Uh, India is also looking at the naval dimension more seriously. We are building our naval strength in a very sustained manner now. So, along with that, so therefore, strategic I think is very important. Both the Bay of Bengal as well as the Arabian Sea, and we are not only restricting ourselves to the neighboring seas, but going deeper further south in the Indian Ocean, in islands like Mauritius, Seychelles, Madagascar, our own Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and so on. So that is the strategic dimension is very important. What is happening now? It is very much in the Indian Ocean, the Persian Gulf, and the Oman Sea politics in the context of war between the US Israel against Iran. That has now brought this Indian Ocean and the choke points,
Yes, sir.
the slocks, the sea lanes of communication, all into on a center stage, and therefore, what is happening in the Indian Ocean has impact all over the world. I think from that point of view, Indian Ocean is now acquiring importance. So that is what we have done. We are also looking at various economic aspects of the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
For example, blue economy. Now, blue economy today constitutes, in varying degree, 5 to 10% of the economies of many countries. And India also is paying considerable attention to the economy, given the large um, coastline, something like 7,500 uh, kilometers
Yes, sir.
of coastline that we possess, uh, 13 major ports, 200 small ports, millions of people who are dependent on the sea for their livelihood, the large number of Indian ships and the seafarers. So, maritime economy is very much part of our economy, and therefore, blue economy is another important aspect. Uh, Living and non-living resources in the Indian Ocean, I think they are extremely important, and therefore fisheries again is acquiring considerable attention. Uh, there are, in the context of biodiversity in the Indian Ocean, agreements in the United Nations. So we look at that also. We had a couple of seminars on the High Treaty, which was entered upon only 2 years ago. That relates to the areas beyond the national jurisdiction.
That's right.
That is called the BBNJ.
Yes, sir.
ABNJ and BBNJ. So these are the two to two treaties which have now recently been
Yes, sir.
entered into in the United Nations. India has also readily joined them. So these are the things. UDA is a new dimension. It
Yes,
is
sir.
the underwater domain awareness and the vast economic world which exists below the surface of the ocean. The magnitude of that UDA is so huge that we cannot really perceive it. And I think, although we are now looking at that seriously, I don't know whether we have still the equipment and the mechanism to really explore that fully. So, that is one area which we are also looking at. Green hydrogen. The Indian Ocean can be a great source of green hydrogen. So we had also discussion in the in the SIOS on this subject. Connectivity becomes a very key element in the commerce and trade relating to the Indian Ocean. And as we all know, around 95% of India's trade moves through the ocean.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, uh, connecting routes through the slots, the sea lanes of communication, again have been looked at in the society. IMEC is the new project which recently in the G20 received recognition. There are at the moment geopolitical issues which will inhibit progress on IMEC, but IMEC is another very promising kind of project, and society has looked at this carefully. One of the main areas this society has been paying attention to is relating to the island states in
Yes,
the
sir.
Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean is one of the well, I suppose even Pacific also has islands, so also Atlantic. But Indian Ocean islands are uh, inhabited. They have a lot of resources. So these islands like Mauritius, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, and islands like Diego Garcia, that is the Chagos archipelago, and our own islands, Andaman Nicobar, all have been receiving attention at SIOS. We have had a, an issue of our journal devoted only to the island states, and we Indian government has been attaching considerable importance to the development of these islands, and over the last 50 years or so, we have been engaged in developing these island states. Now, what kind of development assistance we have provided to them, what is the level of progress and development they have achieved, uh, how are they ensuring their own security, how India is helping in them in this regard. So all these issues are endemic, they are organic to the Indian Ocean studies. And we have in fact prepared a long paper by our research fellow on the development program of the uh, Indian Ocean island states.
Yes,
So
sir.
these are some of the topics through which we feel that the awareness about the Indian Ocean, both the strategic as well as the economic aspect, the commercial aspect, which needs to be highlighted. And this is, in fact, the template on which we have been working all these years.
Yes. Sir, does the society have partnerships with other institutions, and whether it organizes academic activities in collaboration with these organizations?
Well, SIOS, I understand, used to have chapters actually in the
Okay, sir.
past. In the initial years, there are chapters in Madras, in Calcutta, in Mumbai. Now, for some reason, maybe I think financial constraints, these chapters have not continued to function. But on our part, we are trying to remain in touch with experts, scholars, and organizations in the port areas of this country. There is a university in IMU, Indian Maritime University in
Yes, sir.
Madras, in Chennai, with which SIOS has close links. In fact, the Vice Chancellor of IMU, a very distinguished administrator and scholar, Dr. Malini Shankar,
Yes, sir.
is a member of the governing body of the
Yes,
SIOS.
sir.
Uh, we recently held a seminar
Yes, sir.
in IMU. In Hyderabad, interestingly, there is a lot of interest about the uh, ocean studies around the peninsula,
Yes, sir.
and there is a Deccan Research Center, Deccan Studies Center at the Maulana Azad Urdu University,
Yes, sir.
with which SIOS has a collaborative arrangement. A couple of years ago, we held a conference there along with Manu Research Center on the ocean aspects about the Deccan, the
Yes, sir.
Deccan's his history and culture and association with the maritime affairs. Uh, we have also contacts with Bombay University,
Yes, sir.
with Goa. We have a few very eminent people who are there. For example, Admiral Arun Prakash, who is a member of our executive board of the journal, and who is very kind in participating in our seminars, contributing to the activities of SIOS. He is located in Goa, and so we remain in touch with him and through him with institution there. So we have partnerships. We are in the process of promoting such ideas further.
With RIS also, we
And with
recently.
RIS, which is a leading economic institution, international economic issues are conducted in the RIS. We have a collaborative program with them. In fact, recently we held a conference with them,
Yes,
the
sir.
IMEC conference
Yes, sir.
with RIS recently. Uh, Ours is a, I would say, work in progress. I
Yes, sir.
think we will continue to expand our activities beyond Delhi in these maritime centers in the in the country. Uh, and since we have senior naval officers as our members of the governing body, we are closely connected with the Indian Navy,
Yes, sir.
which is
Sir, and
today,
the Coast Guard.
and the Coast Guard. Yes, in fact, Coast Guard has been one of our leading subscribers of the journal.
Yes, sir.
We have been in touch with them.
Yes, sir. Sir, does the society also advise the government on the issue on issues related to the Indian Ocean region?
We are actually a non-governmental body, so we do not really, in a way, pretend to be any advisor or so on. So, but we do keep government in a way informed. We invite senior government officials. In fact, the serving Chief of Indian Navy, Admiral
Yes, sir.
Karambir Singh, 3 years ago, I
Yes,
think,
sir. He had spoken to us.
he took keen interest in the activities of society.
Yes, sir.
And to our pleasant surprise, he addressed the society on a very important economic issue pertaining to the Indian Ocean, namely marine spatial planning.
Yes, sir.
This is an area of great fascination and importance, because as we do land use planning, there is need for marine planning as well as,
Yes, sir.
and that admiral himself chose to address this society really points out to the importance of this particular aspect. So he came to he addressed from his office It was an online. It was just after COVID, I think,
Yes, sir.
around that time. But he addressed us on that, and his address was followed by the chief hydrographer
Of India.
of India, Admiral Badwar, again a serving officer,
Yes, sir.
and he's elaborated on that topic again. He talked about the hydrographical survey of India uh, and the importance of marine special planning. So these are really very notable kind of events that we had with the government. Later on, we had also additional secretary of the of the Indian Ocean.
Yes, sir.
Uh, he deals with specifically Indian Ocean in the Ministry of External Affairs. He came and he addressed that conference. He focused on development programs,
Development aid to
development aid to the island states in the Indian Ocean. So this was very much a government government and a society interaction. Um, well, we've had senior naval officers coming and addressing us,
Yes, sir.
and they spoke in great detail about the naval plans, various activities, the problems, the scenarios, and they were, I think, a few months ago, I recall there were 4 or 5 admirals who came to our meeting here.
Yes, sir.
So this is a kind of an ongoing interaction between the society and uh, government as well, plus non-governmental people too. But senior people from the government have now decided to come and sort of, associate with us. It need not be necessarily purely advisory kind of a role, but it is interactive role.
Yes. Sir, also, sir, please tell us something about the Journal of Indian Ocean Studies which the society publishes.
No society or academic institution really has that credibility unless it comes out with a journal of its own. And bringing out journal is one of the most tedious, most complicated, and very painstaking kind of job, which the society, I must say, undertook as early as 1993.
Yes, sir.
So it's now more than 30 years that the society has been bringing out a journal. It's a journal brought out 3 times a week, 3 times a year. It's a kind of a peer-reviewed journal. Recently, we received recognition from UGC as a journal of standing in the country. And what we do is we have an advisory board who from time to time tell us what sort of articles we should have, what is the quality of the journal, and so on. We think of a theme for each issue. Having selected the theme, then we invite articles from experts, practitioners, diplomats, scientists, and others, and Navy officers, both from India as well as from abroad. So it has a kind of an international character. So this journal is brought out by a leading publisher in the country, which has a number of such journals, and it is distributed all over the world. So the journal is a means to communicate to the outside world our interest in multiple areas of the Indian Ocean, and so far we have received very good response to this. I think copies of the journal are displayed here, 1 or 2 copies,
They are.
and it will show both in terms of its appearance as well as quality high standard that this journal enjoys.
Yes, sir. Sir, thanks for this overview of the society. Sir, as an acute observer of the Indian Ocean region and the events happening in the Indian Ocean, sir, what do you think of the current events in the Indian Ocean region, mainly the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, and what is its impact on India and the larger Indian Ocean region?
We had a situation for last several years where kind of a set global order was in vogue. There were, of course, U.S. bases in the Persian Gulf. Uh, I wouldn't say there was entirely amicable relationship amongst all countries. They had their own differences, but there was no violence. The kind of war that is now happening between Israel, US against Iran, that has now completely changed the picture. In fact, it looks like that you are now looking for a new international order arising out of this, because by closure of Hormuz Strait, the world has really been deeply affected in terms of not only the energy security, but the overall atmosphere, because today there is no security or no assurance of security and peace in the region.
Yes,
I
sir.
think that is, and what has happened is, while there was some kind of a degree of consultations among countries of the region, there was some sort of multilateralism arising, developing in the region. Today, the events have shown that one or two countries can dictate terms to the others.
Yes.
And that is a kind of a development which is totally against the uh, notion of peace and security in the area. So you have now to really look at this very carefully. For all think tanks, including ours, we need to study this situation very intensively.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we have really known Iran, as a literal country of the Indian Ocean very well. And suddenly, the world is also finding that to their, surprise, that they did not have enough information about Iran. Now, Iran's strategic relationship with others, its politics, its social structure, all that is a separate study itself. But beyond that, we'll have to also see how Iran will now be uh, interacting with other neighboring countries of the Gulf,
Yes, sir.
how they will be dealing with the oil and natural gas, because oil and natural gas seems to be the means for transportation for at least several years to come.
Yes, sir.
I think their need is not exhausted as yet. So the importance of Gulf countries and Iran for the global energy security will remain. And if you have this kind of uncertain situation, which will be commanded by one or two countries in the region, the world is really in for a very uncertain situation itself. And take the case of India. I mean, a country of 140 crores is suddenly dependent on what is happening in the Hormuz Strait
Yes, sir.
in terms of our LPG, our oil, our fertilizers, plastics, and a host of things.
Yes, sir.
So I think all of us will really need to really study this whole phenomenon very, very thoroughly. And for SIOS, I think we can have a full agenda, I would say, of such close examination of the issues concerned.
So the situation which you just described in the Gulf, Persian Gulf, and issues around Hormuz, sir, what do you think are the prospects of multilateralism in this context?
See, multilateralism was developing, it was growing. You had the GCC in the Gulf, you had so many bodies like IORA, the Indian Ocean Regional Association, which really evolved from IORARC.
Yes, sir.
It has now more than 25 members. So that again was collaborating, it was coming up with some cooperative efforts. You had the Central Asian Economic Corridor, which was coming up. The idea of IMEC was also developing, though in IMEC, Iran was excluded.
Yes, sir.
And I think they probably had taken note of that. BRICS, there are countries, some of these members of BRICS are also from here.
Yes, sir.
Multilateralism, and then Indian government had taken number of initiatives like Sagar or Mahasagar or the IONS or the Milan. All these exercises, naval exercises, related to that sense of uh, multilateral consultation amongst countries of the region for their security and economic growth. Now that I think has been shaken. Now, is it multilateralism is been sort of dispensed with and to be substituted by unilateralism? And I don't think countries will accept that. They are not accepting it as of even now. I mean, Iran has in a way shown that,
Yes, sir.
but Iran again is acting entirely on its own. It is unilateral actions of Iran. So, although they are now consulting with Pakistan and consulting with Russia, yesterday the Iranian foreign minister was in Moscow, and so their process of consultation is going on. Whether the others, US and Israel, will follow that, we don't know. So, see, Indian Ocean was declared in 1979, as a zone of peace
Yes, sir.
after very intensive negotiations. Because as early as 1970, even before that, it was felt that the issues of the Indian Ocean cannot be left to one or two countries.
Yes, sir.
It had to be negotiated, it had to be discussed across the board among the countries of the region and also involving outside powers because their influence had started growing. Now, with the Indo Pacific concept, another dimension has been added to that. So, in a situation where multilateralism was regarded as a must for resolving the issues of this Indian Ocean,
Yes, sir.
you suddenly have a contrary situation that has now arisen. And therefore, multilateralism becomes very important. How we can bring it back and how that can be effective, I think, is a major challenge.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, can you, sir, briefly tell us about the organizational structure of the society?
Well, the society, as I said, was founded by very eminent people. They carried on for many years.
Yes, sir.
They had even the chapters in other cities. The membership was large. I must say, they did a lot of work. Uh, the membership has still remained very small, and that is my regret. I think we must intensify our efforts. I hope through mechanisms like podcasts, more people will come to know about the society. And it is an entirely non profit, non governmental effort. It's a voluntary effort. And there is a post of vice chairman also, but it has not been always, I think, filled. Uh, well, we have 12 members of the governing body, and they're all very distinguished, eminent people. We have vice admirals, we have Vice Admiral Anup Singh. We had a very distinguished management guru who unfortunately passed away recently, was Dr. Vinayshil Gautam.
Yes, sir.
We have three senior IAS officers. Dr. Tripathi was the Secretary General of IIPA.
So Director General.
Director General. We have former Secretary of Shipping, Dr. Ranjan.
Yes,
Malini Shankar I mentioned earlier. Then we have naval officers also. Plus we have academics. We have Professor Dr. Meena himself, full-fledged professor from JNU as the Secretary General, and Professor Swaran Singh. We have Dr. Kharat. So I think the governing body is really top heavy. I think we need to have now larger membership also.
Yes,
I think we have a few members from Bombay University also have joined now.
So, 2-3 from Delhi.
Two,
Also.
three from Delhi have joined. So I think I hope this will be.
So we also have a managing editor.
And we have a managing editor of the journal, because that is a continuous work, and he has to really work very hard to get articles and approach. He has to have outreach not only within India but all over the world.
Yes,
so this is by and large, I think we have now started having interns. We have a research fellow,
yes,
Dr. Astha Noel, who is a PhD from JNU. And we have young interns who are really contributing very immensely and bringing fresh thoughts to the functioning of the society.
yes,
Well, we have premises in the Lado Sarai area, which is an upcoming area of institutional area in Delhi. So we have now pretty well, I would say, position to promote awareness about the Indian Ocean from here, and I do hope that there will be greater response.
yes, sir. Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for this great exposition about the society, its origins, its functions, and of course the issues which are important to the society. We hope to continue the series. We will continue the series, podcast series, and we'll have more experts coming in for the SIOS Waves podcast. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.